We've been dreaming for a while about that bonny land called Scotland, the wild nature, the rugged wilderness, and historical atmospheres so ancient that you almost feel like a knight as you walk through the streets. Medieval forts and those stunning manor houses that make you feel like you should spontaneously don a monocle. And those gorse bushes, bright yellow and beautifully scattered across the moors, as if the sun had left a piece of itself behind. And didn't forget the dry stane ways, or dry stane dikes as the locals call them. They wound along the narrow roads, silent witnesses to centuries-old craftsmanship. So the plans were made, accommodations arranged, and with a bike loaded with luggage, and a hefty dose of enthusiasm. In May 2023, we took our motorcycle, the 2018 Triumph Bonneville Speedmaster, to Scotland. We boarded the ferry from Idmuiden to Newcastle, and after a calm left-side drive, we first left the city of Newcastle via the north to head towards the village of Corbridge. You roll off the ferry in Newcastle feeling a bit unsteady and with a hide full of adventurous plans. The first few minutes are crucial. Keep your eyes on the road like a hawk and follow that smooth flow of traffic as if your life depends on it. Roundabouts? Aye. They go counterclockwise. Panic, but nae worries. Just keep pace with the local heroes. As a motorcyclist, you're naturally a bit of a masochist, so you immediately choose the English and Scottish back roads. A true delight, except for the times when you think there's only room for one vehicle at a time. This demands precision and concentration, whether you like it or no. The roads wind through picturesque villages, past lush green hills, and through dense forests, where every bend offers a new surprise. The charm of British back roads, like a painting coming to life, but with mere potholes and unexpected turns. As you zoom through the wee picturesque landscapes towards Scotland on your motorbike, you're treated not only to a visual feast, but to a spectacle of local scents, like freshly cut grass or maybe a wee whiff of manure. The weather seems to be playing games with you, alternating between a wet road splashing water up at you and a sudden sunbeam warming your helmet. Sometimes life as a biker is a pure pleasure, with each mile bringing you closer to that true inner joy. The quality of the road surface. In urban areas and on main roads, it's generally excellent, like a billiard table. But those charming wee back roads, that's a different story. Bumpy sections, loose gravel, and the notorious potholes. Holes so deep you can almost see Australia. After we passed the border control early in the morning, we drove for a few hours through the bonny English countryside. The road led us along picturesque routes towards Corbridge. We rode on, seeking the unknown, guided by the compass of our hearts, or more accurately, the GPS of our tom-tom, but that disney sound quite as romantic, does it? After several dozen kilometres, or miles if you prefer, we reached the lovely village of Corbridge. There, we enjoyed a delightful lunch at the Watling Coffee House. Corbridge, my friends, is a village that steals your heart and fills your belly. This picturesque place lies on the banks of the River Tyne and is like a time capsule that takes you back to bygone days. Enjoy a pint in an ancient pub and savour the local delicacies. After a lovely lunch, we continued towards Hadrian's Wall. Because ne trip to this region is complete without a visit to Hadrian's Wall. It was a border, a fortification, and probably a great way to keep your neighbours out. What is it about us motorcyclists? You might see it as a club of modern knights on their steel steeds. Aye, always in search of freedom and adventure, we breathe in the scent of asphalt, oil, and a wee bit of car exhaust, feeling the wind against our clothes or faces, even though our helmets keep us safe. Motorcycling isn't just a hobby, it's a way of life. As we glide through the curves like true acrobats, we leave all the stress of daily life behind. Who needs therapy when you can tear through the landscape on two wheels? Every ride is a new journey of discovery where we surrender both mentally and physically. Whether it rains or the sun shines, we embrace each season as if it were made just for us. And then there's that iconic hand gesture. A raised hand from a fellow biker is like a secret handshake among a select few. A silent promise of mutual respect and a safe journey. It's more than just politeness. It's a gesture that says, I see ye, I understand ye, and we share this passion. Motorcyclists are really just folk on two wheels. They are the modern nomads, the explorers of today, driven by an insatiable hunger for adventure and a deeper connection with the world. Every ride, every road, is a new chance to find and celebrate that freedom. And when we're no on the road, we're probably already dreaming of our next ride. After a wonderful first day of riding in England, we arrived at our first overnight location, ending the day at your accommodation in Stannersburn at the Pheasant Inn. A delightful cold beer awaited us upon arrival, followed by a cosy dinner and evening with English guests. The Pheasant Inn in Stannersburn is a charming, family-run country inn nestled in the bonny Northumberland countryside near Kielder Water. After a good night's sleep and a delicious breakfast, we picked up the motorcycle and started the day with a 360-kilometre journey to the next location. We began by riding through the beautiful surroundings of Kielder Forest, the largest man-made forest in England, covering approximately 250 square miles, 650 square kilometres. It is located in Northumberland in the north of England near the border with Scotland. The routes in Kielder Forest are surrounded by lush, green woodlands and exude a serene atmosphere. Although partly located in England, this park offers impressive landscapes with rolling hills, castles, and historical sites. On the 10th of May, we left the idyllic Stannersburn, ready for the ride to Hotel Cambus O'May in Ballater, a modest 320 kilometres, or for the purists, 199 miles, a distance we thought we'd cover with ease, or so we thought. The day began with that classically called British weather, a charming drizzle. It cleared up briefly, but it seemed the weather gods thought it was time for a wee joke after lunch. And let's no forget the flock of sheep that decides to have lunch right in the middle of the road. So, welcome to England, where every mile is an adventure and every turn makes your heart race. Enjoy the ride. and dinna forget to breathe. There's nae shortage o' bonny wee roads to explore. Absolute heaven for his motorbike daft folk. You cannae beat a guide, easy-going ride, wind in your face, heading Owen towards Auld Reekie, Edinburgh, if you're fancy. We took the ring road and crossed over the Queensferry crossing, but afore that, it was high time for a wee pit stop at Scots Pine Restaurant in Edelston. Smashing wee place, warm, cosy, and the kind of food that fair hugs your belly. As we stepped out, the sky was starting to look a wee bit moody, so we did what ony sensible Scot would do. Out came the rain suits, and right enough, that was a cracking decision, because the heavens opened and it chucked it down in stair rods, just as they said it would. The Edinburgh wind was blowing a fair bit, coming in fae the southwest at around 25 to 30 kilometres an hour with an orange warning for heavy rain causing disruptions. Typical, eh? But as we pressed on towards Perth, the rain eased aft and afore long the roads were dry again. That's Scotland for ye. 4 seasons in a day. Soon as we leave Perth ahint us, we weave our way up the old military road, a route that twists and turns like a faux dodal blower stumbling hame fae a Sealith, winding through a rugged glen straight for the Grampian Mountains. A biker's paradise, whether you're keen to sharpen your cornering or just let the throttle breathe and enjoy the ride. Up here in the Highlands of Scotland shows aff in all its glory. Miles of lush green land, craggy peaks, and a temperature that gently reminds you why the Scots came up with whiskey in the first place. Aye, it's a wee bit nippy, but dinna fash yoursel. That's just a perfect excuse to dive into the nearest pub and warm up with a steaming cup of tea, or something a wee bit stiffer if your bladder's up to the challenge. Hiding up to Glen Einich Nature Reserve in the Cairngorms, then on to the village of Ballater, where we'd be biding for twa nichts at the Cambus o' May Hotel. A grand wee spot to rest up and soak in some proper Highland hospitality. The lovely Cambus o' May Hotel, located near Ballater in Aberdeenshire, Scotland, is known for its warm and welcoming atmosphere, reminiscent of the beloved British sitcom Fawlty Towers. This traditional Victorian hotel offers not only charming accommodations, but also an exceptionally friendly and humorous staff that makes the guest experience unforgettable. The next morning, we set off on what you might call a wee local run, just a mere 190 kilometres, or about 118 miles, through the breathtaking Cairngorms National Park. The day kicked off with a brisk 7.7 degrees of pure, fresh Highland air, creeping up to a no too shabby 11 degrees as the day wore on. A gentle westward breeze added a bit of freshness to the ride, just enough to keep us wide awake, but not quite enough to turn us into human icicles. A route through the Cairngorms National Park, Scotland's northern gem, where bikers can truly let loose and enjoy the ride. Picture this: you fire up your bike, twist the throttle, and set off down the winding Highland roads, carving your way fae Mossat to Dufftown. Rolling hills, old forests, and, let's be honest, a whiskey distillery or two trying to tempt you off your path. The road twists and turns, each bend giving ye a wee nudge to lean in that bit mair, feeling the bike glide through the corners. Then, at last, you roll up to the Crofton Thai restaurant. Because, let's face it, nothing quite says Scottish Highlands like a well-earned plate of Thai food in the middle of nowhere. The highlight of the day was undoubtedly the visit to the Croft Inn. The Croft Inn in Glenlivet, located in the picturesque Glenlivet in Aberdeen, Scotland, is a special inn known for its welcoming atmosphere and delicious dishes. The inn is run by a team of enthusiastic staff, including Chris, Nat, Tuktek, Maisie, Patrick, and Crazy Cleo, who ensure a unique culinary experience. At the Croft Inn, you can enjoy a varied menu featuring both Scottish and Thai dishes, all prepared with fresh, local ingredients. The inn offers a warm and inviting atmosphere, with a team renowned for their friendliness and hospitality. After a delightful meal and a pleasant time at the Croft Inn in Glenlivet, we stopped by the charming shop, the Whiskey Castle in Highland Market in Tomintoul on Ore, way back to the hotel. The next morning, we left Cambus Omey Hotel, packed our luggage onto the bike, and hided towards Inverness. This morning kicked off on the fresh side, with temperatures hinging about 8 degrees, eventually warming up to a balmy 14, practically t-shirt weather if you're an optimist or a Scotsman. With a mix of clouds and sunshine, we set off towards Ballater, gliding through the breathtaking Abernethy forest before landing on Garbold Road, a route so remote even the sheep were giving us confused looks as if to say, "You lost, pal?" The day's route is a belter, fae Ballater through Tomintoul Tye Spybridge, a road packed with nature, history, and a guide dose of Scottish character. Twisting through the heart of the Highlands, it's the kind of ride that makes you grateful. Along the way, you'll pass with gems like Gairnshill Bridge, an 18th century military bridge that's seen more than its fair share of history. Originally built for soldiers marching on foot, it now faces a daily battle with modern motors that are just a wee bit wider than the old engineers had in mind. A fine bit of historical craftsmanship that stood the test of time. Then there's the road, the A939, better kent as the Old Military Road, a winding route with steep climbs and hair-raising descents, a true test of both your driving skills and your nerves. The stretch between Cockbridge and Tomintoul is especially notorious. High altitude, wild weather, and the kind of conditions that make you wonder if you should have just stayed in the pub. The scenery is absolutely stunning. Vast plateaus, deep glens, and rugged mountain peaks. On a clear day, the views will take your breath away. On a misty day, aye, they probably still do. You just will not see them, unless, of course, a flock of sheep suddenly appears. The Scots have a saying, if you don't like the weather, gie it 5 minutes. On this route, that's twice as true. In short, it's a journey packed with character, charm, and a guide dose of Scottish humour. Enjoy the ride, and dinna forget to look up now and again. You never ken what you might see. We opted for some bonny scenic routes, including the lovely Abernethy Forest, one of the largest remnants of the ancient Caledonian forests in Scotland, and the Garbold Road in Glenkillicky Estate, which offered a relaxing route through spectacular landscapes and the tranquility of the Highlands. We also hided towards Loch Ness, where we stopped at the Antala restaurant and, for the second time, encountered the Black Morgan with French license plates that we had spotted and spoken with the day afore at the Croft Inn in Glenlivet. We would see them twice more the next day, arriving at our next overnight location, the Altguish Inn, which dates back to the 18th century and has a long history as a resting place for travellers and cattle drovers. This lonely single-track road twists its way through the Monadliath Hills, linking Garble near Tomatine with Far. Then it was onwards to Inverness, with a quick stop at Loch Ness. Because let's be honest, nae trip to the Highlands is complete without staring at a big loch. And convincing yourself that this time, you might just spot something lurking beneath the waves. We wrapped up the ride with a final stretch to your stay for the next 1x, the Altgish Inn near the place called Garv, a place so peaceful even your GPS has trust issues finding it. But hey, after a long day's ride, there's nothing better than warming up with a guide meal, a dram of whiskey, and the slow realization that the weather the morn might be even more refreshing. We first enjoyed a cold beer on the terrace and had a short but pleasant chat with our first real Scot, the motorcyclist Mo Fraser. The next morning, Saturday, we took a loop ride to the northeast, a 300-kilometre tour, approximately 118 miles, through the Sutherland region and the Highlands, hiding towards the western part of Scotland. We visited places like Dingwall, followed the B9176 road to get a bonny view over Cambuscurry Bay, and then drove to the wee village of Bonar Bridge to buy a Scotland sticker for our helmet at the corner shop. Our route took us to the village o' Lairg, where we enjoyed a lovely lunch by the water at the restaurant, The Pier. Frae the village o' Lairg, we made a wee detour to follow the A839 road towards Loch Borlin, continuing on the A837 towards Loch Assynt, with views of the historic landmark Caldahoose and Ardvrick Castle. In the coastal village of Lochinver, we had our lunch stop for a Scottish pie at Lochinver Larder. After lunch, we encountered the Black Morgan with French licence plates for the 4th time. We had a brief chat afore our ride for the day took us further o'er narrow roads in the Highland region, offering a mix of scenic routes along winding roads, green hills and quiet lochs towards Loch Lurgan, afore making the last few kilometres to your final overnight stay at the Altgish Inn. Scotland, that magical land across the North Sea where kilts flutter and bagpipes play mischievous tunes. Scotland, part of the United Kingdom, that oh-so-great island ye might recognise as that piece of land perpetually shrouded in rain. But hey, for us Dutch folk on the other side of the North Sea, that's precisely the charm. Scotland, the cradle of the Picts and the Gaels, those hardy folks who refuse to be subdued. And then we've got the Druids and the Celts with their mystical spells and painted faces. The spoken word in Scots Gaelic sounds like a melody frae a distant past, as if someone's murmuring a spell while you drink a pint of Guinness. The bagpipes, that instrument that sounds like someone's having a quarrel with a bunch of cats, but in a charming way, it gives Scotland its unique soundtrack, instantly recognisable, even if you're standing in the middle of Amsterdam. And then we've got the films frae our youth, Highlander, the classic frae 1986. Here we learn that there can be only one. It's a film that shows you're never too old to lose your hide. Braveheart, the epic film frae 1995, in which Mel Gibson finds his inner William Wallace and takes us on a journey of freedom. The historical accuracy in the film is a boot as reliable as the weather in Scotland, but the spectacle mair than makes up for it. And Rob Roy, the film frae 1995, reminds us that Liam Neeson can also fight in a skirt, and Tim Roth as the treacherous Archibald Cunningham, a villain you love to hate so much you almost hope he drowns in a puddle of whiskey. So aye, Scotland, the land of misty hills, ancient castles, and whiskey that burns like firewater. A place where history and mythology walk hand in hand, and where every Dutch person who makes the crossing instantly falls in love. There's just something magical about that piece of land across the sea. For the next day, rain was forecasted throughout, especially in the morning. To avoid the wet misery a bit, we decided to leave a wee bit later and significantly shorten the route. This way, we could spare ourselves the very wet showers and hopefully arrive dry. We decided to adjust and shorten our route since we had planned a bonny tour to our next overnight stay. Given the weather predictions with heavy rain, we chose to start riding after most of the rain had passed and shortened the route for 320 kilometres to 250 kilometres. We rode past Island Donan Castle, which was crowded with tourists, so we kept up the pace. In the coastal village at Invershiel, we took a nice photo of a boat lying on the dry part of Loch Duich. We stopped for lunch at Glenmoriston at the restaurant the Cluanie Inn, which serves delicious Indian dishes, and even saw deer casually strolling by the window. We continued our route towards the village of Glenwig, where we stayed for 2 nichts at the Glenwig Inn with Kirsty and Rona. Glenwig is a remote area with a peaceful environment and stunning views of the sea and mountains. We fell in love with the Glenwig Inn, a charming place to stay with comfortable rooms and a cozy atmosphere. On Monday, we had planned a motorbike ride, but unfortunately, I developed a slight wrist inflammation. After consulting my physiotherapist in the Netherlands, it was advised to give my wrist a day's rest. Thanks to the owner of the Glenwig Inn, we still had a bonny and enjoyable day. We visited the Smirrisary coast by car and walked towards Smirrisary Beach. How wonderful Scotland can be when you explore it on foot. Early Tuesday morning, our glorious return journey was on the agenda. But first, we took a glance at the Glenfinnan Viaduct. You ken, that thing for the Harry Potter movie. Since it was so commercial and touristy that even the air had a price tag, we quickly restarted the bike and made a brief visit to the St. Mary and St. Finnan Church. Our route would take us through winding roads to the Corran Ferry, but the Corran Ferry decided to take a day off, and this was, of course, no indicated anywhere. So we were gifted with an extra 60 kilometres and an additional hour of travel time. We then headed towards the Glencoe Nature Reserve. Glencoe is known for its dramatic, rugged landscapes and roads so winding that you feel like you're in an episode of Top Gear. It was quite busy with camper vans driving in convoy as if they were in the Tour de France. After some time of trudging along, it was time for a lunch break at the Green Welly Stop, one of the few pit stops for motorcyclists in Scotland. The staff there was quite friendly, perhaps because they felt sorry for us. After refueling, our route took us to our next overnight stay at B&B Drum Farm. Along the way, you learn that a road closure in Scotland is sometimes as useful as an umbrella in a hurricane, but sometimes it is. Fortunately, being on a motorbike allows you to be flexible and often ignore these things. The niche at B&B Drum Farm was pleasant. For dinner, we went to the nearby village of Denny, where the locals behaved so typically that it felt like we were in a sitcom. On Wednesday morning, we left early to race down the highway to Newcastle upon Tyne. The goal, to be on time at the ferry terminal for the crossing. And so our adventure in Scotland ended with a predictable but well-deserved ride home.
Ja, welkom in Schotland. Ja, we zijn hier live in de uitzending.